The sun was setting over the colony world of New Haven. Orange and pink colors painted the sky as the day came to an end. It was a peaceful place, far from the busy center of human space. Farmers worked their fields. Children played in the streets. Life was simple and good. 8-year-old Cole ran through the tall grass near the forest edge. His dog, a brown mutt named Buddy, barked and chased after him, laughed as he ran. His mother had told him to stay close to home, but the boy wanted adventure. He wanted to explore. "Come on, Buddy," called out. "Let's see what's behind those trees." The dog barked in reply and followed his young master toward the forest. Had no idea that this would be the last normal moment of his childhood. He had no idea that eyes were watching him from far above. In orbit around New Haven, a scout ship hung silent in the darkness of space. Commander stood at the viewing window and looked down at the small human colony. He was tall, over 7 feet, with 4 arms and skin like gray stone. His people, ruled a mighty empire that stretched across thousands of star systems. "Such a small world," said, "such weak creatures." His second officer, a younger named, stepped forward. "Commander, our scans show only basic defenses. No warships, no orbital guns. These humans are defenseless." Smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. "The Emperor wants to know more about these humans. They spread so fast across the galaxy. They survive on worlds that would kill other species. Our scientists wish to study them." "What do you suggest, Commander?" Pointed one of his 4 fingers at the screen. It showed a small figure running through the grass. A child. "We take a sample, a young one. They are easier to control and we can study how they grow." Looked uncertain. "Is that wise? The humans might respond with force." Laughed. It was a deep, rumbling sound. "What force? Look at this colony. They have nothing. And even if they complain, what can they do against the Empire? We have millions of warships. They are insects compared to us." The decision was made. The scout ship descended through the clouds without a sound. Its technology was far beyond anything the colonists had. No alarm was raised. No one saw it coming. Had just reached the edge of the forest when the sky above him turned dark. He looked up and saw something huge blocking out the fading sunlight. A ship, but not like any ship he had ever seen. It was smooth and silver, shaped like a teardrop. Buddy started barking wildly. The dog's fur stood up on its back. "What is that?" whispered. A beam of blue light shot down from the ship. It hit the ground around, forming a circle. The boy tried to run, but his legs would not move. The light held him in place like invisible hands. "Help!" screamed. "Mommy, Daddy, help me!" But there was no one to hear him. The beam pulled him upward, lifting him off the ground. Buddy jumped and barked, trying to reach his master, but the dog could not follow. Rose higher and higher until the ship swallowed him whole. Inside the ship, found himself in a cold metal room. Strange creatures surrounded him. They were huge and gray, with too many arms and eyes that held no warmth. One of them, the biggest, leaned down to look at him. "Do not be afraid, little human," said. His voice was calm but cold. "You are coming with us. You should feel honored. You will meet the Emperor himself." Was too scared to speak. Tears ran down his face as the ship rose back into the sky and disappeared among the stars. Back on New Haven, Grace Cole walked toward the forest edge. She was looking for her son. Dinner was ready and should have been home by now. She called out, "Where are you?" Buddy came running out of the grass. The dog was alone and barking in a strange, sad way. Grace felt her heart turn cold. "Buddy, where's my boy?" The dog led her to the spot where it had been taken. The grass was pressed flat in a perfect circle. Strange burn marks the earth. Grace fell to her knees. She knew something terrible had happened. A mother always knows. The colony authorities came quickly. They scanned the area and found traces of alien technology. Grace listened as they explained that a ship had been detected leaving orbit. Her son was gone, taken by one of the most powerful empires in the galaxy. "We will file a complaint," the colony governor said. "We will demand his return through diplomatic channels." Grace shook her head. Her hands were shaking, but her voice was steady. "That will take months, maybe years. My son needs help now." "There is nothing else we can do," the governor said sadly. "They have the largest military in known space. We cannot fight them." Grace said nothing more. She returned home and sat in the dark for a long time. Then she turned on her communication device and made a call. The signal traveled across 3 star systems to reach a military base on a distant world. A man's face appeared on the screen. He had short dark hair and eyes the color of storm clouds. There was no softness in that face, no warmth. He was a man built for war. "Grace," Cole said, "what's wrong?" Grace could barely speak through her tears. "Cole, they took him. They took our boy, the Took." The change in Cole's face was small but terrifying. His eyes went flat and empty. His jaw tightened. In that moment he stopped being a husband and father. He became something else, something dangerous. "Tell me everything," he said. Grace told him what she knew. Cole listened without speaking. When she finished, there was a long silence. "Cole, are you still there?" "I'm here." "What are we going to do?" Cole looked into the camera. His voice was quiet, but there was something in it that made Grace shiver. She had known this man for 15 years. She had married him, had a child with him, built a life with him. But in this moment, she saw the man he had been before, the man they called Ghost. "I'm going to bring him home," Cole said. "Every single person who touched our son is going to die, and then I'm going to bring him home." The screen went dark. Grace sat alone in the silence. She was afraid for her son. She was afraid of what her husband would do, but deep in her heart she felt something else. Hope, because she knew one thing for certain. Her husband had never failed a mission, and he was not going to start now. Far across the galaxy, Commander looked at his prize. The human child slept in a stasis pod, peaceful and unaware, felt proud of himself. The Emperor would reward him greatly for this gift. He had no idea what he had done. He had no idea what was coming for him. The Ghost was awake, and he was angry. Cole stood before Admiral Hayes in her office on Station Orion. The room was quiet. Outside the window, stars burned in the endless black of space. The Admiral was an older woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. She had seen many soldiers in her long career, but she had never seen anyone quite like Cole. "You want to resign," she said. It was not a question. "Yes, Admiral." "You want to go after the Alone, into their space, to rescue your son." "Yes, Admiral." Hayes leaned back in her chair. She had read Cole's file many times. Most of it was classified so high that even she needed special permission to see it. During the border wars, this man had done things that seemed impossible. He had held a sniper position for 11 days without food or water. He had eliminated targets from distances that other soldiers thought were myths. He had completed missions that were never supposed to exist. His was Ghost, and he had earned that name. "They have the largest military in the galaxy," Hayes said. "Millions of ships, billions of soldiers. You are one man." Cole's face did not change. "Yes, Admiral." "You know this is suicide." "With respect, Admiral, I have heard that before, many times." Hayes was silent for a long moment. Then she stood up and walked to the window. She looked out at the stars. "When my daughter was young, she was very sick. The doctors said she would not survive. I would have done anything to save her, anything at all." She turned to face Cole. "I will not try to stop you. I will give you a stealth ship, supplies, and weapons. I will also give you something else." She handed him a small data chip. "This contains all of our intelligence on space. Ship movements, base locations, communication codes, everything we have." Cole took the chip. For just a moment, something like gratitude flickered in his cold eyes. "Thank you, Admiral." "Don't thank me," Hayes said. "Just bring your boy home and make them regret ever touching a human child." Cole nodded once, then he turned and walked out of the office. He had work to do. Far away aboard the massive capital ship called Throne of Stars, young Cole woke up in a strange room. The walls were white and curved. The bed was too big for him. Everything smelled wrong, like metal and chemicals. He sat up and looked around. The room was not a prison cell. It was more like a fancy hotel room, but cold and empty. There were no windows, no pictures on the walls, nothing that felt like home. The door slid open. I walked in. This one was smaller than the others, with lighter gray skin and gentle movements. She carried a tray with food on it. "Hello, little human," she said. Her voice was softer than Commander's. "My name is Lyra. I am here to take care of you." Pulled his knees up to his chest. He did not speak. Lyra set the tray down on a small table. "You must eat. You need strength." "I want to go home," whispered. "I want my mom and dad." Lyra's face showed something that might have been pity. "I am sorry. That is not possible right now, but I promise no one will hurt you here. You are very special to us." "Why did you take me?" Lyra hesitated. "Our scientists want to learn about humans. You are such strange creatures. You come from a world that is very harsh. Extreme heat, extreme cold, dangerous animals, poisonous plants. Most species would die on such a world, but humans did not just survive. You became strong. Our emperor wants to understand how." Did not care about any of that. He just wanted to go home, but he remembered something his father had told him once. They had been camping in the mountains, just the two of them. Cole had taught his son many things during that trip. "If you ever get lost or in trouble," his father had said, "stay calm, stay smart, watch and learn, wait for the right moment. And remember, son, Daddy will always come for you, always." Wiped his tears, he looked at Lyra and forced himself to speak normally. "Okay, I will eat." Lyra seemed pleased. She smiled and left the room. Ate the strange food slowly. He did not know how long he would be here. He did not know if anyone would save him, but he trusted his father. He would stay calm, he would stay smart, and he would wait. Back in human space, Cole prepared his ship for the journey ahead. The vessel was called Shadow, a small stealth craft designed to avoid detection. It was fast, quiet, and deadly, perfect for what he needed to do. But first he needed information. The Empire was vast. His son could be anywhere among thousands of star systems. Finding him would take time and skill. Cole had both. He started with the traders and smugglers who moved between human and space. These people lived in the gray areas between empires. They knew things that official channels did not, and they could be persuaded to talk. Cole met with a smuggler named Vex on a station near the border. Vex was a nervous man who dealt in information. He had contacts throughout the Empire. "I need to find a ship," Cole said. "A capital ship called Throne of Stars. I need to know where it is." Vex laughed. "That ship, it belongs to Commander. He is one of the most important officers in the whole Empire. Finding that ship will cost you a fortune." Cole placed a bag of credits on the table. Then he placed his hand next to it. His fingers tapped slowly on the metal surface. "I will pay your price," Cole said, "but I need the information fast, and I need it accurate. If you lie to me or delay me, I will come back. Do you understand?" Vex looked into Cole's eyes. What he saw there made the blood drain from his face. He had dealt with dangerous people before. Killers, criminals, soldiers. But this man was different. This man had no fear, no hesitation, no mercy in his gaze. "I understand," Vex whispered. "Give me 2 days, I will find your ship." Cole nodded and left without another word. True to his word, Vex delivered the information. The Throne of Stars was currently stationed in the core systems, near the Imperial capital. It was one of the most heavily protected areas in the galaxy. Getting there would require passing through dozens of checkpoints and patrol zones. Cole studied the data carefully. He planned his route through space. He would need to move slowly and carefully at first. He would need to gather more intelligence along the way. He would need to eliminate anyone who might report his presence. It would take time, but Cole was patient. He had once waited 11 days for a single shot. He could wait as long as necessary to save his son. As he flew toward space, Cole thought about. He remembered teaching the boy to fish. He remembered carrying him on his shoulders through the park. He remembered the sound of his laugh, the brightness of his smile. Then he pushed those thoughts away. Emotions were dangerous in his line of work. He needed to be cold. He needed to be focused. He needed to be the ghost. The first patrol he encountered never saw him coming. Cole slipped past their sensors like a shadow in the night. He was inside their space now. The hunt had begun. On the throne of stars, Commander received reports from the border. Everything was normal. No threats detected. The human child was adjusting well to captivity. Smiled and poured himself a drink. In a few weeks he would present his prize to the Emperor. He would be promoted, honored, celebrated. His name would go down in history. He had no idea that death was already moving toward him, silent, patient, unstoppable. The ghost was coming, and nothing in the galaxy could stop him. The space station called Nexus Prime floated at the crossroads of 12 major trade routes. It was the largest trading hub in space. Millions of beings passed through its docks every day. Ships from 100 different species came and went, carrying goods, passengers, and secrets. Cole arrived at Nexus Prime 3 weeks after entering territory. His journey had been slow and careful. He had avoided patrols, slipped through sensor nets, and left no trace of his passage. Now he was deep inside enemy space, surrounded by those who would kill him on sight if they knew what he was. He wore simple clothes and a hooded cloak that hid his face. Among the crowds of aliens, one human did not stand out too much. Nexus Prime was a place where all species mixed. It was the perfect place to disappear. It was also the perfect place to hunt. Cole's target was a named Mal. He was the high adjunct of Imperial intelligence for this sector. In simple words, he was the chief spy. He knew everything that happened in this part of the Empire. More importantly, he knew exactly where the throne of stars was located at any given moment. For 3 days, Cole watched and waited. He learned the layout of the station. He memorized the patrol schedules. He found the weak points in the security system. He discovered which ventilation shafts led where, which doors had faulty locks, which cameras had blind spots. They were confident in their security. They believed their station was impossible to breach. They had never faced a human like Cole. On the third night, Cole made his move. Mal lived in a private tower in the wealthy section of the station. His quarters were on the top floor, protected by armed guards, energy shields, and the best security systems technology could provide. No one could reach him without passing through multiple checkpoints. Cole did not use the checkpoints. He entered through a maintenance shaft on the lower level. He climbed through the walls of the station like a spider, silent and invisible. When he reached the ventilation system near the top floor, he paused and checked his rifle. It was a custom weapon, built specifically for him. The barrel was longer than standard, allowing for incredible accuracy at extreme distances. The ammunition was designed to punch through armor. The scope could see through walls using heat signatures. Cole looked through the scope. He could see Mal sitting in his office, reading reports. 2 guards stood outside the door. The window was made of reinforced glass, strong enough to stop most weapons. But not this weapon, not in these hands. Cole found his position. It was a small space between 2 pipes, barely big enough for a human body. A could never fit there. They would never think to look in such a place. He settled in and waited. His breathing slowed. His heartbeat became steady and calm. The world narrowed down to the target and nothing else. At exactly midnight, Mal stood up and walked to his window. He liked to look out at the stars before going to bed. It was his habit, his routine. Cole had observed this pattern for 3 nights. Patterns got people killed. Cole squeezed the trigger. The shot was perfectly silent, using technology that absorbed the sound. The glass shattered. Mal fell backward, dead before he hit the ground. A single hole in his left eye, a perfect shot from nearly half a mile away. The guards rushed in. They found their master dead and the room in chaos, but there was no enemy to fight, no attacker to catch. The security footage showed nothing. The sensors detected nothing. It was as if death itself had reached through the walls. But Cole left something behind. On the desk next to the body, he placed a small photograph. It showed a young boy with bright eyes and a happy smile. Cole. A message. When Commander heard about the assassination, he felt something strange. It was an uncomfortable feeling in his stomach, a coldness in his chest. For the first time in his long military career, he felt uncertain. "How is this possible?" he demanded. Mal was one of the most protected officials in the Empire. Who could have done this? His officers had no answers. The security footage showed nothing. The witnesses saw nothing. The killer had left no trace except for one thing, a photograph of a human child. Stared at the image for a long time. He recognized the boy. It was the child he had taken from New Haven, the child that was now sleeping peacefully in a cell on his ship. Someone was coming for the boy, someone dangerous. "Double the guards around the human," ordered. "Increase security throughout the ship. I want to know who did this and where they are." But the ghost was already gone. He had slipped away from Nexus Prime like smoke in the wind. He had the information he needed now. The location of the throne of stars, the route it would take, the defenses surrounding it. The hunt continued. Over the next 2 weeks, strange things began to happen throughout space. A supply convoy carrying weapons disappeared without a trace. All 40 ships simply vanished. A communications relay station went offline. When repair crews arrived, they found everyone dead. Each body had a single wound, a single perfect shot. A forward military base reported strange problems. Officers were dying in their sleep. 3 in one night, then 2 more the following night. Each time, the killer struck from impossible distances. Each time, no evidence was left behind. And each time a photograph appeared near the bodies. The same photograph, the same boy. Fear began to spread through the military. Soldiers whispered to each other in dark corners. They talked about a ghost, a demon, a monster from human space. The officers tried to stop the rumors, but they could not. The stories grew bigger with each telling. Some said the ghost could walk through walls. Others said it could see in perfect darkness. Others said it was not human at all, but something worse, something that hunted for sport. The truth was simpler but no less terrifying. Cole was just a man, a father looking for his son, but he was a man with skills that the could not understand. Humans evolved on a world called Earth. It was a harsh planet filled with danger, extreme weather, deadly predators, scarce resources. Other species looked at Earth and saw hell. But humans did not just survive there. They became the dominant species. They became pursuit predators. Other predators in the galaxy hunted with speed or strength. They attacked quickly and moved on if they failed, but humans were different. Humans tracked their prey for days, for weeks, for months if necessary. They never stopped. They never gave up. They followed the tracks, the scents, the signs, until their prey was too exhausted to run anymore. They had evolved on a paradise world. They had never needed to hunt. They had no concept of what a human predator could do. They were learning now. Cole moved through their space like a phantom. He struck without warning and disappeared without a trace. He was patient, methodical, unstoppable. Each kill brought him closer to his son. Each message reminded them why he was coming. On the throne of stars, Cole felt something change. The guards around him increased. The scientists who visited him seemed nervous. Something was happening out there, something that scared his captors. He thought about his father. He remembered the stories his mother used to tell. "Daddy is a hero," she would say. "He protects people." Smiled for the first time in weeks. He did not know exactly what was happening, but deep in his heart he knew one thing for certain. Daddy was coming, and whoever stood in his way was going to regret it. The great hall of the High Command was filled with the most powerful military leaders in the Empire. They sat around a massive table carved from black stone, their faces grim and worried. For the first time in centuries, they faced a threat they did not understand. Grand Admiral stood at the head of the table. He was the oldest and most respected commander in the Empire. His body was covered in scars from 100 battles. His forearms were thick with muscle, and his eyes burned with fierce intelligence. "Let me be clear about the situation," said. His voice echoed through the hall. "In the past month, we have lost 47 ships, 3 bases, and over 200 officers. Our intelligence network in the border sectors has been destroyed, and we still do not know who is responsible." One of the younger admirals spoke up. "We know it has something to do with the human child. The photographs left at each scene make that clear." "One human," another admiral said with disgust. "You expect us to believe that one human is doing all this?" "The evidence suggests exactly that," replied. "Our analysts have studied the attack patterns, the weapons used, the methods employed. Everything points to a single individual, a specialist, what the humans call a sniper." The room fell silent. They knew about human snipers. They had encountered them during the border wars. Soldiers who could kill from distances that seemed impossible. Soldiers who could wait for days without moving, without eating, without sleeping. Soldiers who were more machine than living creature. "We must set a trap," continued. "This human is coming for the child. We know where he is going. We know what he wants. We use that against him." He pressed a button and a holographic image of the throne of stars appeared above the table. "Commander's ship will be our bait. We will surround it with a full battle fleet. 50 warships, 10,000 soldiers. When the human comes for the child, we will crush him." The admirals nodded in agreement. It was a good plan. No single human could stand against such force. The ghost would be caught and destroyed. But Grand Admiral was not entirely confident. He had studied human history. He knew what they were capable of when pushed to their limits. He had seen the reports from the border wars, the impossible victories, the refusal to surrender even when all hope was lost. Humans were strange creatures. They did not know when they were beaten, and that made them very dangerous indeed. Far from the halls of power, Cole sat in a small bar on a forgotten moon. He was not alone. 3 other humans sat with him, each one carrying the weight of their own pain. Ben Tucker was a big man with kind eyes and rough hands. He had been a combat medic during the border wars, saving lives under fire. His brother had been killed by raiders 5 years ago. He had been waiting for a chance to fight back ever since. Santos was small and quick, with short dark hair and a scar across her left cheek. She was the best pilot Cole had ever met. They had destroyed her ship and killed her entire crew. She had spent 2 years surviving in the space between empires, waiting for revenge. Daniel was quiet and thoughtful, with clever fingers and a brilliant mind. He was an engineer who could build anything from nothing. He could make a bomb from kitchen supplies, a weapon from scrap metal, a radio from broken parts. They had taken his wife. He had nothing left to lose. "Let me understand this," Ben said slowly. "You want the 3 of us to help you attack a capital ship, a ship that is now surrounded by 50 warships and 10,000 soldiers." "Yes," Cole said simply. "And you expect us to survive this?" Cole met his eyes. "I expect you to do what I cannot do alone. I can get inside the ship. I can reach my son. But I need someone to cause chaos, to distract the guards, to give me the time I need." Leaned forward. "It sounds like suicide." It probably is, Cole admitted. I will not lie to you. The chances of survival are small, but I am going anyway. My son is on that ship and I am going to bring him home. If you want to help me, I will be grateful. If you want to walk away, I will understand. The three looked at each other. They had all lost something to the. They had all been waiting for a chance to strike back. This was madness, certainly. But sometimes madness was all you had left. I am in, Ben said. My brother would have done the same for me. I am in, said. My crew deserves justice. I am in, Daniel said quietly, for my wife. Cole nodded. Then we have work to do. They called themselves Cole's Ghosts. It was a small force, just 4 people against an empire. But they had something they did not expect. They had the fury of humans who had been pushed too far. For the next 2 weeks, they prepared. Daniel built devices that could shut down power systems and disable security networks, modified their ship to be even faster and harder to detect. Ben gathered medical supplies and weapons. Cole studied the layout of the Throne of Stars until he knew every corridor, every room, every shadow. They knew they were setting a trap. They walked into it anyway. The Throne of Stars hung in space surrounded by warships. Grand Admiral had come personally to oversee the operation. He stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching and waiting. Any sign of the human? He asked. Nothing on sensors, his officer replied. Perhaps he has given up. Shook his head. No, he is coming, I can feel it. He was right. At that very moment, a small ship drifted silently through the debris field at the edge of the system. It was powered down, cold and dark, invisible to sensors. Inside, 4 humans waited with patience learned through years of hardship. When they were close enough, activated the engines. The ship burst forward at incredible speed, heading straight for the fleet. Alarms screamed throughout the formation. Ships turned to intercept. Weapons powered up. But the small human craft was too fast, too nimble. Flew like a demon, dodging fire, slipping between warships, using their own formations against them. They are heading for the Throne of Stars, someone reported. Stop them, commanded. But stopping them was not easy. Flying was beyond anything they had seen. She used the chaos of the fleet against them, making ships nearly collide with each other as they tried to target her. Daniel activated his devices, sending false signals throughout the network. Communications became confused. Sensors showed enemies that did not exist. In the madness, no one noticed a single figure launch from the small ship in a spacesuit. Cole drifted through the darkness, using small bursts of thrust to guide himself toward the Throne of Stars. He was just another piece of debris among thousands. He landed on the hull of the massive ship and found an emergency airlock. Within minutes, he was inside. The chaos outside had drawn most of the crew to battle stations. The corridors were nearly empty. Cole moved like a shadow, silent and deadly. Any guard who saw him died before they could raise an alarm. Any camera that spotted him was already offline, thanks to Daniel's devices. He was deep inside enemy territory now, surrounded by those who wanted him dead. But he did not feel fear. He felt only cold determination. His son was somewhere in this ship, and nothing would stop him from reaching the boy. On the bridge of the Throne of Stars, Commander watched the battle with growing panic. The human ship was causing chaos throughout the fleet. Explosions lit up the darkness of space. His own ship had lost power twice already. This is impossible, he muttered. How can 4 humans cause so much damage? An officer rushed onto the bridge. Commander, there are reports of security breaches throughout the ship. Guards are not responding. Cameras are going offline. Felt his blood run cold. The attack outside was a distraction. The real threat was already inside. He is here, whispered. The ghost is here. He turned and ran toward the detention level. If he could reach the human child, he would have leverage. He would have a bargaining chip. It was his only hope. But Cole was already ahead of him, moving through the ship like death itself, getting closer with every step. Nothing could stop him now. The father was coming for his son, and they were about to learn why humanity was feared across the galaxy. The corridors of the throne of stars were dark. The power had failed again, and only emergency lights flickered along the walls. Cole moved through the shadows like a creature born from them. His rifle was ready, his eyes scanning every corner, every doorway, every possible hiding place. Behind him, the sounds of chaos echoed through the ship. Alarms wailed. Soldiers ran past without seeing him, heading toward some new emergency. Daniel's devices had turned the ship's own systems against it. Fires burned in some sections. Airlocks opened and closed randomly. They were fighting their own ship as much as any enemy. Cole checked his mental map. The detention level was close now. Just 2 more corridors, 1 elevator, and he would be there. He would be with his son. A group of guards appeared ahead, 4 heavily armed and alert. They saw him at the same time he saw them. For a frozen moment, everyone stared. Then Cole fired. 3 shots, 3 guards fell. The 4th raised his weapon, but Cole was already moving. He slid under the beam of energy, came up on 1 knee and put a bullet through the guard's throat. 4 enemies, 4 seconds, 4 kills. He did not even break stride. The elevator was damaged, so Cole took the maintenance shaft. He climbed down 3 levels, his arms burning with effort. When he reached the detention level, he found it nearly empty. Most of the guards had been called away to deal with the crisis elsewhere. But not all of them. Commander stood in front of a heavy metal door. Behind that door was Cell. The commander held a blade in one of his 4 hands. His face was twisted with fear and anger. "Stop there," Human said. His voice cracked slightly. "1 more step and the child dies." Cole stopped. He lowered his rifle slightly but did not drop it. His eyes studied with cold calculation. "You took my son," Cole said quietly. "You took him from his home, from his mother, from everything he knew. Do you have any idea what you did?" "I did what was necessary," replied. "For the Empire, for science. Your kind is a threat that must be understood." "We were not a threat," Cole said. "We just wanted to live in peace. You made us enemies. You brought this on yourself." Laughed nervously. "1 man against an empire. You cannot win. Even if you kill me, even if you rescue the boy, you will never escape. The fleet outside will destroy you." "Maybe," Cole admitted, "but you will not be alive to see it." He started walking forward, slowly, steadily, his eyes never left. "I said stop," screamed. He backed against the door, his blade shaking in his hand. "I will kill him, I swear I will." Cole kept walking. "No, you will not." "How can you be so certain?" "Because if you were going to kill him, you would have done it already. You need him alive. He is your only protection. Without him, you have nothing." His face went pale. The human was right. The child was his only bargaining chip, his only shield. If he killed the boy, there would be nothing to stop this monster from tearing him apart. "What do you want?" whispered. "I want my son. Open the door, step away, and maybe I will let you live." "You are lying. You will kill me anyway." Cole stopped just a few feet from. His voice dropped to a whisper. "You have 3 seconds to let him go. After that, there is nothing in this universe that will save you. 1. Tremble, the blade shook in his grip. 2. The commander looked into Cole's eyes. What he saw there broke something inside him. There was no mercy in those eyes, no hesitation, no doubt, only cold, absolute certainty. This human would kill him. There was no question about it. Dead? Cole moved, but not toward. His rifle snapped up and fired at the light fixture above the commander. The bulb exploded, plunging the corridor into complete darkness. Had poor eyesight in the dark. Their species had evolved on a world with 2 suns, where darkness was rare. But humans were different. Humans came from a world with long nights and deep caves. Their eyes adapted quickly to the absence of light. In the darkness, Cole struck. He heard swing the blade blindly, felt the air move past his face. He ducked under the attack, grabbed one of the commander's arms and twisted. Bones cracked, screamed and dropped the blade. Cole's hands found the commander's throat and squeezed. He could have made it quick, but he did not want quick. He wanted this creature to understand what he had done. He wanted him to feel the fear that must have felt. When the emergency lights flickered on 4 seconds later, lay dead on the floor. His eyes were still open, frozen in terror. Cole stepped over the body and opened the door to cell. Inside, a small boy sat curled in the corner of a bed. His eyes were wide with fear and hope. "Daddy," whispered. Cole dropped to his knees and opened his arms. "I am here, son, I am here." Ran to him. The boy wrapped his arms around his father's neck and cried into his shoulder. Cole held him tight, feeling the small body shake with sobs. For just a moment, the cold mask cracked. Tears formed in the corner of Cole's eyes. "I knew you would come," said between sobs. "I knew it." "I will always come for you," Cole said softly. "Always." But they were not safe yet. The ship was still in chaos, but the fleet was still outside. They needed to escape. Cole lifted into his arms and moved back through the ship. His rifle was slung across his back, and the boy clung to his neck. They passed through corridors filled with smoke and sparks. Soldiers ran past them, too focused on the fires and failures to notice one human carrying a child. At the docking bay was waiting. She had managed to land their ship during the chaos, slipping through the damaged hangar shields. Ben was inside, ready with medical supplies. Daniel was still working his devices, keeping the confused. "We got him," Cole said as he climbed aboard. "Let us go." Grinned and powered up the engines. "Hold on tight." The small ship launched out of the throne of stars like a bullet from a gun. Outside, the fleet was in disarray. Ships had collided. Others were fighting fires or dealing with system failures. Daniel's disruption had turned the trap into a nightmare. Grand Admiral watched from his flagship as the human ship slipped through his formation. He could order his ships to fire. He could try to stop them, but doing so would risk destroying more of his own vessels in the crossfire. "Sir," his officer asked, "should we pursue?" Was silent for a long moment. He thought about everything that had happened. One human had torn through their defenses, killed dozens of their best soldiers, and rescued a child from the most protected ship in the fleet. One human had made the entire military look like fools. "No," said finally, "let them go." "Sir." "This human, this ghost, has proven something today. There are some enemies that are not worth making, some creatures that should be left alone." He turned away from the window. "Send a message to all forces. The human called Ghost is never to be pursued. The cost is too high." The small ship jumped to hyperspace and vanished. Cole's ghosts had survived the impossible. 3 days later, a ship landed on New Haven Colony. Grace Cole stood at the landing pad, her heart pounding in her chest. She had received the message but could barely believe it. After all these weeks of fear and waiting, could it really be true? The door opened. Cole walked out carrying in his arms. The boy was thin and tired but alive, so wonderfully alive. Grace ran to them. She threw her arms around her husband and son, crying and laughing at the same time, kissed her cheek and held on tight. "Mommy," he said, "Daddy came for me just like he promised." Grace looked at her husband. There were new scars on his face, new shadows in his eyes, but beneath all that she saw the man she had married, the father of her child, the hero who had crossed a galaxy to bring their son home. "Thank you," she whispered. Cole smiled. It was a small smile but real. "I made a promise. I always keep my promises." In the weeks that followed, the Empire quietly changed its policies toward humanity. All human prisoners were released. A non-aggression treaty was signed. Officially, it was described as a diplomatic victory. Unofficially, everyone knew the truth. The Empire had learned a valuable lesson about underestimating humans. Stories spread through space. Soldiers whispered about the ghost who walked through walls. Children were told tales of the human demon who hunted in the darkness. Cole's legend grew until it was larger than any single man could be. And across the galaxy, other empires heard the whispers. They saw what had happened to the proud. They made quiet decisions to leave human space alone, to avoid provoking the strange species from the death world called Earth. Because you never knew which human might be a ghost, which parent might burn down an empire to save their child, which ordinary person might become something extraordinary when pushed too far. On New Haven, life returned to normal. Cole retired from the military and spent his days farming and fixing things around the house, went back to school, played with his friends, and slowly forgot the nightmares of his captivity. But sometimes, late at night, would wake from a bad dream. He would find his father sitting by his bed, watching over him. "I am here," Cole would say softly. "Go back to sleep." And would close his eyes, feeling safe and protected, because he knew without any doubt that his father would always be there, watching, waiting, ready to face any enemy, any empire, any force in the universe that threatened his family. The ghost was at rest now, but he would never truly disappear. And somewhere in the stars the remembered, and they were afraid.